Ask the Messenger's TV show is a TV show that educates, informs, and entertains our viewers on public health issues such as mental illness, suicide, addiction, illness and disease, COVID-19 relief, crime, domestic violence, homelessness, human trafficking, employment opportunities, healthcare, and more. And now, Ask the Messengers.
Today on Ask the Messengers, we bring you another author series with Kimberly Mallory, with her guest, Dr. David Sternber, who talks about marijuana and lung cancer. Plus, playwright Sheila Finn talks about a long-time career in writing and producing stage plays and how excited she is to be working with our very own Kimberly Mallory to bring her book, There Is No Sound in My Scream, to the big screen. Also on today's episode, Lisa Perry shares information about her empowering organization that provides resources for single mothers, and she gives a few hints to some books that are in the works for her too. Now let's go to Kim and Dr. Sternberg.
Today we have with us Dr. David Sternber. Welcome to the program.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. I really appreciate it.
So today we're going to talk about some things that, because you specialize in lung cancer, you're also a doctor at Carmanos. We're going to talk today about lung cancer. It's a stigmatism that lung cancer comes just from smoking cigarettes. You know how we talk about those things. But now that weed is legalized, can you just help us explain to the audience what smoking weed can do to your lungs?
Thank you very much for asking that question. I get that question in my office every day. There's not a single day that doesn't go by that I'm not discussing marijuana and lung cancer. And interestingly, it's not an age-associated thing. I talk about this risk with my 80-year-old hippies, and I also talk about it with my 25-year-old hipsters. All of them basically don't know the science. And to be quite honest, we as doctors don't even know all of the science. Okay. It's a tough nut to crack. The problem is that weed is endemic. Everybody's smoking weed. You can't drive down the lodge without seeing all the signs. So it's all around us. And has been for about 12 years since it was legalized on the West Coast. But the question about whether or not it causes lung cancer has been quite murky. It's been difficult to figure out. A couple reasons why. Number one, it's still federally illegal, so we can't do big federal trials with it. And number two, weed is used in lots of different ways. You see, it's one way to study Coke, because if you want to drink Coca-Cola, everybody sort of drinks Coca-Cola. Everybody sort of drinks it cold. There's not a lot of variation with it. But when it comes to weed, people are smoking it. People are smoking it a lot. People are smoking it occasionally. People are putting it in gummies. People are also vaping it. So it's not like studying Coca-Cola where everyone is using it the same way. It's kind of more like studying apples. It can be apples, it can be apple slices, it can be apple juice, it can be apple sauce, it can be apple pie. I mean, there's just a million different ways to eat apples, and there's just a lot of different ways to use marijuana. So having said that, we don't know everything. And it's still we won't know everything for 30 years, but we're learning a lot. And here's what we know, and here's the kicker. Weed is definitely full of bad stuff. When you smoke weed, the stuff that you get in your lungs from smoking marijuana seems to be almost as bad as regular cigarettes, if not just as bad. There's nothing healthy about it. It's not a health food. Every day, some hippie or hipster tells me that it's all natural, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's all healthy, right? Eating grass is also all natural, right? Eating weeds are all all natural. Eating fungus or mushrooms is all natural, but some mushrooms will kill you within a day. So just because it's all natural doesn't mean healthy. Weed is not a garden salad. It's not doing something wonderful and amazing for your body. In fact, smoking weed probably is just as bad as smoking cigarettes, but people smoke weed differently. And I'm sorry to give you such a long-winded answer, but what we have seen and what I have personally seen is people who work in dispensaries who tend to smoke marijuana heavily and all day are getting emphysema in their 40s, and they are getting lung cancer in their 40s. So I am seeing people who are heavy smokers of marijuana get emphysematous changes in their lungs and cancer early in life. So I do do not have the impression that cigarette smoking is far more dangerous than weed. I have the impression that if you smoke weed very heavily, you're also putting yourself at high risk.
So let me ask you this, Dr. Sternberg. So say that someone may be feeling sick and just don't know why. And someone said, well, that sounds like signs of cancer. What do you think that someone that's watching right now, what would you suggest to them that they should do if they're feeling, well, maybe someone else has had cancers and they're having some of those signs that someone else has had, and they say, you need to get to the doctor. What would you suggest that they should do?
First, relax and calm down.
Okay.
Such a terrifying thought. And we don't want everyone to be scared to death. We want people to have happy, well-adjusted, productive lives. We don't want people to be sitting around biting their fingernails to the bone because at 10 o'clock, their best friend told them that they think they have cancer. So don't listen to your friends. Half the time, most of the idea your friends have are usually terrible. And most of the medical ideas your friends have are usually terrible. Having said that, if there is a real concern that you feel like, what are the symptoms of cancer? Well, you're feeling weak, you're feeling tired, you're feeling run down, you're just not feeling 100%. A drop in energy level is a good sign that you could have cancer. Or if you feel something, lung cancer is the most common cause of death for Americans and for people around the planet, but it's not the only cause of cancer death. So if you feel a lump in your breast or something like that, or you have blood in your stool, those are all signs of cancer that you should absolutely get evaluated. Yes. There could be other things that cause them, but you should evaluate them without panicking or freaking out at night. For lung cancer, we tend to think of as a new cough, especially a cough that produces blood or difficulty breathing. Those are signs of cancer specifically in lungs. And the thing about cancer is that it can present differently depending on where in your body the cancer develops. But don't panic, relax, and then call your doctor and make an appointment as soon as you can.
Right. And so that's good. That's really good. And for my viewers, please do not make Google your doctor. Please go to see a doctor that has been practicing. Of course, we use Google for maybe symptoms, but don't let Google become Dr. Google MD. Okay. So, go
I love that you said that. I love that you said that because I compete with Dr. Google every day in the office.
Yes,
and I always tell them, I said, you're putting me against Dr. Google, but if you were going skydiving and you were going to have packing your parachute, would you rather go and have a professional skydiver show you how to do this? Or do you kind of want to pack your own chute and do it on your own? Yeah. Dr. Google is good for some things. For example, you can get a great apple pie recipe from Google. Right. But when it comes to packing your own parachute, you might want to leave that to someone who,
knows what they're doing. Exactly. So for my viewers as well, I want to say to you, the word cancer itself is very scary, but what you should do is the sooner you get diagnosed, the sooner it can be taken care of. Don't wait until it becomes cancer, stage 4. Go and get checked. Early screening is so very important, everyone. Please understand that. So Dr. Sternberg, I would like for you to just look into that camera and you tell all of our viewers out here some words of encouragement. Even though it sounds like a death sentence, they use the word cancer, but give someone some words of encouragement that may already have cancer or may think that they have cancer. Give them some words of encouragement.
Okay. Thank you for giving me a chance to do that because, the word cancer is scary, but the word cancer survivor is very commendable and respectful. So don't think of cancer, think of cancer survivor. Don't be scared of cancer, be scared of untreated cancer.
Yes.
But the word cancer on the other end has a beautiful connotation to it. I think about our cancer patients who've gone through this experience, and most of them describe it as an initially tough experience, but then we treat them and then move on. Cancer is no longer, for most people out there, for the overwhelming majority, cancer is not an immediate cause of death. You see, back in the early 90s or late 80s, when people got HIV, it meant they were going to be dead within 2 years. But nowadays, people with HIV can live pretty normal lifestyles and pretty normal lifespans up into their 70s. It may not always be curable, but it can be manageable. We don't cure people people with high blood pressure, and we don't cure people with diabetes either. We can manage it for a very, very long lifespan. So even if your cancer can't be immediately cured, it can often be managed and treated for sometimes many decades. So the word cancer doesn't mean immediate horrible death, the way that an HIV infection nowadays doesn't mean immediate horrible death. It just means pills and maintenance for many years. So I don't want people to think of cancer as synonymous with certain doom, because it's anything but certain doom. But we do very commonly cure cancers, and when we can't, we manage them. The future for cancer just looks brighter and brighter. Every year, we're getting statistics that are showing better outcomes, better survival. It seems that, and I joke that most of our cancer patients who get their chemotherapy have a better head of hair of me before, during, and after the treatment. So it's not guaranteed that your hair is going to fall out for men or for women. On the other hand, it is nowadays something that is very treatable and often curable.
Stay tuned for more of Ask the Messengers.
We have Sheila Finn from Sheila Finn Productions. So tell us a little bit about the things that you're doing here in Michigan. Some of the plays that, I've heard that you're writing, just tell us about some of those plays. Tell us about some of the plays that you have written already.
Okay, I've written, I started off with Deliver Us from Evil. And I started that at a church. I was doing skits. I was writing skits. And I did Deliver Us from Evil. And a lot of people from church, they were like, you need to make this a play. Wow. And it touched a lot of people's hearts. So I said, well, I'll give it a try. So I did Deliver Us from Evil. And then I wrote Just for the Love of Money. And then I wrote Trip of a Lifetime. Well, Just for the Love of Money, I had William Murphy in my play and Shayna Wilson. And it turned out very, very nice. So then I end up Eddie Levert using his song, and he started advertising me, and it went from there. So I'm doing foster care. I've written foster care for someone, and Unconditional Love, and Dream Boy, Norman and Me, and I've done quite a few.
I'm telling you all, I have had the opportunity to watch some of her projects that she's done, and she's so amazing that actually she is in the process right now of writing my story. There's No Sound in My Screen. She's taking my book and putting it and bringing it to the stage.
Thank you.
And you're working on 2 projects right now. Mine is one. And yes. So tell the audience a little bit about how you're writing my play, and then how you're writing. There's another play that you're going to be writing, or that you're in the process of writing. Am I correct?
Yes.
Tell us a little bit.
Okay. With your play, well, we had decided we were going to do it as a play, but the Lord spoke with you and said, this is a movie. And I was like, oh my God. And it really is. I've been so excited every time I write and I'm on it. It's like I'm there. And I'll call Kim up and I'll like, Kim, look at this, listen to this. And I'm so excited about it. And I don't want to really give too much about it, but it brings you to tears, laughter, and I'm so excited about doing your play, your movie now.
My movie now. And I'm excited about her doing it, because I just want to share with the audience about when you do things and you do them of God, because she's a godly woman, and she'll call me and tell me, I want to put this part in your movie, and it'll bring me to tears, because I'll say, how did you know about that? That literally happened in my life. But someone might need to hear what it was that you did. Give them some words of encouragement to not want to give up, because sometimes when things get hard, we're ready to quit.
Number one, choose God first. God gives you that vision. And when you have a vision, move towards it, and he will lead you. Once you start, he'll lead you. And be encouraged. You have to stay encouraged, and you got to listen to the right people that's in your life. You got to listen, around you. You have to listen to the right people. So have that vision and move towards it.
We'll be right back with more of Ask the Messengers.
Welcome, welcome, welcome to Ask the Messengers. Lisa Perry is with us today. She wants to talk about this amazing organization that she has. And it's so interesting how her and I met. And I'm going to really let her talk about this organization. Lisa, welcome to Ask the Messengers.
Yes, thank you. Hi, Kim. Thank you so much.
So you have an organization. Tell us the name of that organization.
The organization is called Courageous Life Achieving Single Parents, also known as C.L.A.S.P Ministries. And the slogan is holding it all together.
Wow, that's powerful right there. So what motivated you to start this organization, Lisa?
Well, I became a single parent at the age of 19, my year to be 20 years old. And all of the stigma around being a single parent, the negativity, I was determined in my heart, I wasn't from that. So I didn't have to per se receive it. So my journey started there.
So tell us, what does your organization do for single parents? What is it that this organization does?
Well, I'm still a single parent, and everyone are wonderful, prosperous, very prominent adults to this day.
Yes.
And what the bottom line, the organization's purpose is to eliminate instability with the single parent dynamic, to eliminate moving around, to eliminate when there's interruption in major wage earnings, the earnings, to be able to substantiate that versus going through other measures to force and threaten and bring mental anguish to the entire household. So the purpose is to eliminate that whole process.
You can be a single parent and don't feel down on yourself, and don't let the world make you feel down. Lisa, yes. So your organization, can you tell the audience right now, like, what exactly is it that your organization does for these single women? Do you encourage them with on a website? Do you have a teaching? What is it that exactly that your organization does for these single parents?
It's pretty simple. What I do is I have weekly group sessions, and we talk about pretty much whatever they want to talk about, but we focus on the financial issue, the financial arena with. So it's more in the group sessions of listening. I listen, I encourage, and I pray. That's really what I do. The organization and the whole families are welcome to be provided a family financial plan for the house and in the stages of the children, what's good for that parent, and to stick to the plan, so that there's peace in the home and the children can be really trained up in the way they should go. So we analyze what is the giftings that God blessed the child with upon, can they sing? What do they do? And then we plan that for the mother to learn what type of schools, what type of environment, even what type of relationships to cultivate in their lives so that that parent is at peace. And then there's the piece also focusing on the parent themselves. I am very sensitive to the parent being left out. So I refuse to do that. And again, networking, these are the best type of relationships based on the character of the parent and where that parent is, their tolerances and intolerances. So it's building family, it's reconnecting people with themselves and believing I can train up my children. I love my children and I love myself enough to understand what a child is even for. The word tells us that a child is a gift from God. Mm-hmm. So to mishandle a child is not understanding that the child is a gift and not a burden.
That I am an author as well. I wrote There's No Sound in My Scream, Drugs, Truth, and Faith. And God told me to write that book because that book was going to help save lives and deliver people. Now, have you thought about writing a book? Because see, your book would help change lives and deliver people from weight loss, from having this low self-esteem of being a single parent. Has that been something that may have crossed your mind?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I have and I'm glad you said that you've written it because I'm coming to you for counsel. But I have a 3-part series inside of me that I would love to write about.
Wow.
It's a 3-part series, and
so
it's the first one is and I'll say it's his baby mama, her baby daddy.
okay.
And that is my life with how to get along with the children's father and still be friends without anything. And it's my testimony of actually living through that. The second one is called Preparing Him for Her.
Wow.
And I shared that with my children, and they were like, Mom, that's a New York bestseller right there. And it is going through the pain of loving a gentleman and him leaving, him walking away, leaving, and him going to another young lady, and not realizing that God allowed what he put in me to prepare him for where he had to go. So really, really, that's really deep talking about that one. The third one hasn't happened in my life yet, but it's upon God giving me to the man that he's prepared me for. And that's when that book will be birthed.
Okay, so now you said that you have that 3-part episode within you that God has planted in you. Yes. Have you started writing it yet?
I did. You blessed me, Kim. You said, get that tablet, keep it next to you. And when you have thoughts, just write them down. So right. I do. I do what I call doodle, but that's what I'm doing. I'm like, okay. And then sometimes when I get to that emotion that I realize that's still there, I go on that spiritual and I give it,
Well, that concludes this week's episode of Ask the Messengers. We also invite you to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and to subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you would like to help support our show, please feel free to make a donation of any kind by visiting our show website, www.askthemessengers.org. If you prefer to mail donations, please make check or money order payable to Ask the Messengers TV show and send it to 18400 Schaefer Highway, Detroit, Michigan 48235. Ask the Messengers is the program that deals with things that help you. Thank you for watching.